In the 4th year of my secret relationship with Henry, he passionately kissed his junior female schoolmate in front of the award-receiving platform. Mia is my official girlfriend. I hope everyone can bless us. I congratulated them with a smile to the reporters, but Henry, in front of the camera and everyone, rebuked me for being unable to take a joke. After the competition, the photo of their kiss spread to every corner of University A. If it were in the past, I would have stepped forward, grabbed Mia's hair, and kept questioning Henry, making a spectacle for the whole school to see. But this time I suddenly let it go. When they were kissing in front of the award-receiving platform, I was standing right behind Henry. Amid the heckling that filled the venue, I quietly watched him raise Mia's hand high. Mia is my official girlfriend. I hope some brainless fans will stop their fan circle behavior. But clearly, last night this man was still holding me, promising solemnly. He said that if he won the championship in today's competition, he would announce our relationship to everyone. But I didn't expect that not only the champion had changed, but his girlfriend had changed too. A reporter from the school newspaper suddenly handed me a microphone. Student Daphne, Student Henry just mentioned 2 key words, brainless fans and fan circle behavior. Can you explain to us what this means? Standing in front of the camera, I forced an ugly smile with tears in my eyes. Some classmates, because I walked closely with Henry, misunderstood that we were a couple. It's not about being brainless, it's just a misunderstanding. I paused, then looked at Henry and Mia with a smile. At the same time, I also want to congratulate my partner and junior Mia. But Henry suddenly stepped forward and snatched the microphone. Daphne, be generous. Don't be a sore loser. Why are you crying? It's just a championship. He playfully threw the trophy in Mia's hand towards me. The reporter was stunned, seemingly not expecting Henry to do such a thing suddenly. If he had treated me like this in the past, I would have lost my temper and questioned him in public. But this time I didn't care. After the competition, on the way back to the laboratory, seeing me walking silently in front, Henry pursed his lips and suddenly pulled me back forcefully. He stared at my face eagerly. For the paper to be published this time, I've told the professor to put your name on it. He was always like this, slapping me and then giving me a sweet date. No need. I don't deserve such good things. You can give the credit to someone else. He pinched my face half jokingly. Come on? Mia is just a junior helping us deal with the rumors. You can't be really jealous, can you? Just as I was about to speak, his phone in his coat pocket rang. It was Mia's call. Senior Henry, the light in our dormitory is broken. Can you come and fix it for us? Please, please. Before I could walk away, the man's impatient voice came from behind. Hey, don't be so petty. I have to go to the junior's place. After all, she helped us today. The screensaver of his phone had already been changed to a photo of him and Mia just taken. Their smiles were so dazzling. I said indifferently, go ahead. What are you waiting for? He threw his heavy computer into my arms and then ran towards Mia's dormitory building. Only then did I notice that my wrist had already been pinched purple by Henry. As soon as I arrived at the laboratory, a junior female student in the same research group leaned forward and moved her chair towards me. Hey, Senior Daphne, have you seen the school's forum? What? There are a lot of fans of you and Henry on the forum unfollowing, and they're calling you a bitch who breaks up other people's relationships. A stabbing pain came from the back of my neck. I slid down the chair weakly, avoiding the junior's inquisitive eyes. I had been in a secret relationship with Henry for 4 years, winning all kinds of honors at university together, and we were known as the most dazzling twin stars of University A. In the end, I had become the mistress who broke up other people's relationships. In the middle of the night, Henry came home and suddenly pulled me out of my deep sleep. Why did you go to sleep without waiting for me? During these 4 years of living together, no matter how late he came back, I would always wait for him to sleep together. We called it getting used to married life in advance. I was too tired from the competition. I was sleepy, so I went to sleep first. I climbed back into bed, turned over to face the inside, and ignored him. The man gritted his molars and forcefully held the grilled skewers in front of my nose. Don't sleep. I brought back your favorite grilled skewers. Get up and eat. The red oil from the grilled skewers flowed down the bag onto my pillow. I pushed it away in disgust. I've already brushed my teeth. I don't want to eat. You can keep it for yourself tomorrow. An hour ago, a photo of Mia and her roommate having a barbecue was spreading like wildfire on the forum. Who else could be the one bustling around and being attentive beside them but Henry? Henry raised his eyebrows and sneered in disbelief. You can't be serious. It's just asking the junior to help us deal with the rumors. You're getting angry over this? You're being too petty. I'm not. The man didn't listen to what I said, just kept sneering on his own, still pretending not to eat barbecue. You used to beg me to take you, but I didn't. It's the junior who's helping you pretend. Look at how fat you are. Don't I know what you're like? Are you pretending to lose weight again? Since we started living together, Henry would always subtly or overtly mock me for being too fat and that my exposed flesh in a skirt looked ugly. Every time I would get angry and retort, trying every way to prove that I wasn't fat. But gradually, all the beautiful dresses in my wardrobe had turned into various large-sized T-shirts in black, white, and gray. This time I didn't refute. Yeah, you're right. I threw away the pillow soaked in oil, and then walked out of the bedroom with the quilt in my arms. In the past, I cared the most about Henry's emotions, observing his face all the time, and he took it for granted. Every time we quarreled, it was always me who gave in first. But today when I ignored him, he chased out of the bedroom with a nervous expression. Where else can you go? I said impatiently, I want to sleep separately today. You sleep in the bedroom, and I'll sleep in the living room. I thought Henry would retort, but the sound of his footsteps gradually faded away, and the sound of water came from the bathroom. Seeing that I didn't plan to leave, he went straight to take a bath. Suddenly, the quilt was lifted, and a body full of water vapor pressed close to me. Just dieting won't work for losing weight. How about we? Then he started kissing my neck. As soon as his disgusting mouth touched my skin, I pushed him away instinctively. Henry didn't care, with a lewd smile on his face. What? Want to play something exciting today? Okay. The man pressed on me again. I was pressed so hard that I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't break free no matter how hard I pushed. As my arms flailed, there was a crisp slap, and the sound echoed in the living room. Henry stood up with a cold face, with 5 bright red finger marks on his face. What exactly is not to your liking? Over such a trivial matter, you have to make a big fuss with me, right? It was the same in the past. Whenever he wanted to sleep with me, he would do it, whether I was really willing or not. I tightly hugged my curled-up legs and buried my head in them, remaining silent. Henry's patience finally ran out. He walked out of the house with a sullen face and slammed the door shut. In the following few days, Henry didn't come back home. Even when we met in the laboratory, we both turned a blind eye to each other. Until Mia suddenly appeared in the laboratory. Henry smiled brightly, like a blooming peach blossom, and said, Mia will be the junior sister of our research group from now on. We're all in the same group, so we should get along harmoniously. Then he turned to look at me and asked, What do you think, Daphne? Mia looked me up and down with a smile and said, I didn't expect Senior Daphne to dress so plainly. No wonder Senior Henry said that you're rather self-abased and asked me to take you out to have fun. She patted the non-existent dust on her silk dress and then peeked at Henry shyly. I didn't expect to be so lucky. Henry and I pretended to be a couple, and the professor even agreed to let me join the group. I said calmly, I didn't expect it either. Congratulations. Henry's expression changed. He looked at me and said, Daphne, well, you know, I thought Mia had helped us, so. I raised my hand to indicate that he didn't need to explain. It's fine. There's no misunderstanding. Are you not angry anymore? I was puzzled. What's there to be angry about? I ignored them and walked straight to my seat. In the afternoon, the professor sent a message in the research group's chat saying that there would be a group meeting and everyone had to come. When I arrived, inside the door, everyone was gathering around Mia, heckling, and Henry was desperately protecting her. For years ago, when Henry and I first joined the group, we had a similar group meeting. The professor warned sharply, in our group, no one is allowed to be in a relationship. If I find out, both of you get out of the group. How dare you fall in love while studying? I wanted to confess my relationship with Henry to the professor, but Henry not only stopped me but also rebuked me impatiently. Don't you know how hard it was for me to get into the group? How many papers did I write to get the professor's recognition? Just like that, we became secret lovers like rats in a gutter for 4 years. No matter how many girls showed their affection to Henry, I had no right to claim my sovereignty. I was still lost in my thoughts when the professor gently patted my shoulder. Why aren't you going in? Oh, it's you, Professor. I was just about to go in. He stood beside me, looking at Henry and Mia, who were surrounded by the crowd, with a sigh. He said frankly, who would have thought they were a couple? I always thought you and Henry were a good match. I even joked with him to chase you. I said calmly, really? Henry never mentioned it. The person who had argued with me hundreds of times about making our relationship public brought his new love into the group so easily. I followed the professor into the classroom. Our champion this time, Mia, owes her entry into the group to Henry. You two lovebirds really. Everyone started heckling again, asking them to treat us. Until Mia's delicate voice rang out, Professor, I'm more familiar with Henry. Can I be in a group with Henry? The noise stopped abruptly. The classroom was eerily quiet for a moment. Subtle glances were cast in my direction. The professor pondered for a moment and said, I think it's okay. What do you think, Daphne? Seeing that everyone was extremely embarrassed, I kindly stepped in to ease the situation. Sure, a couple will have better tacit understanding. After saying that, I picked up my bag and walked straight out. Not long after I got home, Henry chased back. Daphne, are you being too childish? You just left without saying a word. What will others think of Mia and me? Seeing that I remained silent, he snatched my computer and smashed it hard on the ground. I've said it's fake. If you have to be so serious, then get out of that house. We're breaking up. This was the umpteenth time Henry had said the word break up to me. He knew I couldn't leave him. Every time we broke up, no matter whose fault it was always me who gave in first. In the past, I would cower at his feet like a dog, only daring to sob softly and beg him not to kick me out, promising that I would never make him sad again. I looked at the computer that had accompanied me for 5 years on the ground, stood up straight with a smile, and said, Fine, let's break up. As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding air seemed to be tightly wrapped in silence. Henry suddenly looked dazed, as if he hadn't heard me clearly. What did you say? I said fine, we're breaking up. I quickly walked into the bedroom, dragged out the suitcase, and started packing my clothes, ready to leave this place. Unexpectedly, Henry rushed in too, pushed me aside, and clenched his fists. "You had such a big fight with your roommates. Where can you go? And you still dare to break up with me? Come to think of it, I had a fight with my roommates because of Henry. They repeatedly advised me that Henry was not a good person. In the past, I couldn't stand to hear such words. After a big argument, I moved in with Henry. Seeing that I was determined, Henry left with harsh words and slammed the door. Go ahead, but you have to pay me back all the rent I paid and the things I bought for you over the years before we can break up." I carried my luggage and pushed open the door of the dormitory. My roommates inside were first shocked, and then quickly asked me how my hand got injured. In the following days, I returned to the wonderful dormitory life. Until Professor O called me, saying that Henry's experiment wasn't going well and hoping I could come back as soon as possible. "Daphne, Mia was just joking with you that day. Why are you being so serious with your junior sister?" I smiled and said, "No, I really thought so. And by the way, I won't be coming back to the research group. I might as well leave and give them a clean slate. There's no need to make everyone unhappy." But unexpectedly, this time Henry was the first to give in. He picked me up and dropped me off for classes with a cold face. He even changed his arrogant nature and bought breakfast for me and my roommates with a cold face. In the past, I was always envious of other girls whose boyfriends did these things for them. I had begged Henry many times, but he always refused impatiently, saying, "You just like these superficial things. I don't have the time. Belated company is cheaper than grass." I chose to ignore it. Emma used to be a huge fan of Henry and me. She always tried to find out if Henry and I were a couple. I lied to her again and again. After Henry officially announced his relationship, she never asked me again. Today, she was holding a birthday party and told me to come for sure. When I arrived at the private room, I found that Mia was also there. She smiled and said, "Daphne, you're here too. Henry and I have been waiting for you so long." The man's corners of the mouth couldn't help but rise. He thought I had changed my mind and wanted to get back together with him. But then, Emma, who should have been the protagonist, smiled and invited Henry and Mia to the main seats. I've been shipping Henry and Daphne for so long. I didn't expect Henry and Mia to be the real couple. I thought Daphne was lying to me. Seeing me sitting calmly across from them, Henry nervously explained, "It's not like that. Daphne and I." Emma retorted, "So is Mia the mistress who breaks up other people's relationship?" I suddenly remembered the post that the junior sister showed me that day. The person confidently listed all kinds of evidence to prove that Henry and I had a close relationship and branded me as a mistress. So this birthday party was just a hangman banquet aimed at me. Henry subconsciously squeezed Mia's hand tightly. It was not until Mia cried out in pain that he came to his senses. He quickly held her hand and asked Mia worriedly if it hurt. Mia looked up at me timidly and said, "Mia is not a mistress." "Sister Daphne, can you explain it for us?" As Mia wished, this question was thrown back to me again. Everyone was eager to watch the exciting show of two women vying for one man, but I just wouldn't do as they expected. I leaned back against the chair, looking calm. Mia is indeed not a mistress. Before I could continue, Henry's eyes lit up immediately. He met Henry's hinting gaze. I stared into Mia's eyes and said something that shocked everyone present. "I've admired Henry for 4 years and pestered him for 4 years, doing many things that left people speechless. Now, I just want to wish Henry and Mia a long-lasting relationship." I finally said what I wanted to say, as if I had finally broken the love spell that had entangled me for 4 years. As I passed by Emma, I stared at her and adjusted the birthday crown on her head. "Emma, happy birthday to you." I also saw through her. This woman just secretly liked Henry under the guise of shipping us as a couple. But it had nothing to do with me. I didn't want Henry anymore. Henry was flustered. His face turned pale as he shouted, "No. Daphne. You." He couldn't shout anything more. He neither wanted to hurt Mia nor expected to really lose me. The man chased out of the private room in a daze and pressed his hand on my shoulder. "Daphne, listen to me. I'll announce my break up with Mia in a while, and then. Stop. I'm not a mistress. What you do has nothing to do with me." He still wanted to explain, but suddenly a man's soft laughter came from behind us. The man saw Henry turn around and raised his hands with a smile, indicating surrender. "I didn't mean to eavesdrop on you, Senior Henry. I just had something to say to Senior Daphne." Hearing this, Henry got even angrier and retorted, "What could you possibly want with her?" His voice unconsciously rose several decibels, so loud that passers-by slowed down. The man was surprised. "Huh? I just wanted to invite Senior Daphne to join our research group. Coincidentally, recently." Ignoring Henry's eager eyes that wanted to explain, I grabbed the boy and walked out. Henry finally didn't catch up because Mia came running out crying. It was not until the junior finished ordering that I remembered he had handed me a business card earlier. "Lucas?" When the man smiled, the tear mole on his face also moved. He playfully raised his hand and reported, "Senior, here." His answer made me laugh. Henry never talked to me in such a coaxing way. "Does your research group lack people? Did your professor send you to find me?" "To be precise, I lack a partner, and the professor has agreed." He added with a bitter smile, "You know my former partner, Mia. So it was him, the one who defeated us with Mia in the competition." I thought for a long time. It was not until Lucas was about to go pay the bill in frustration that I called out to him, "I'm willing." Lucas was so happy that he shouted towards the road, "She said she's willing." Passers-by were confused, but they were also infected by his happiness and congratulated us one after another. "Congratulations on your eternal love." I was so embarrassed that I wished I could find a hole to crawl into. My face turned bright red immediately. "No, this willing is not that willing." That night, Lucas sent me back. Although we were just standing downstairs discussing the upcoming experiment. But when I got back to the dormitory and faced the teasing of my roommates, my ears turned red quietly. Evelyn, who slept across from me, lifted my bed curtain, sneaked in, and tickled me. "I'm telling you, Lucas is really good looking. He's the most handsome among the juniors. You don't know how popular Lucas is. If you two get together, I approve of this marriage." Agreeing voices rang out one after another. "I approve too." "Me too, me too." I shyly pinched Evelyn's face. "It's not even certain yet, and you're already giving your approval." It's not that I'm immune to handsome guys. When we were standing downstairs, so many girls pretended to pass by and peek at Lucas. In the past, I was arrogant, thinking that no matter how popular Henry was among girls, he would always be mine. But now I don't have such confidence anymore, and I can't bear such hurt either. After chatting with my roommates all night, I woke up at noon and picked up my phone. I found that Henry had made more than 99 calls. And the most recent one was just 3 minutes ago. After hesitating for a few seconds, another call came in. "Daphne, are you in the dormitory? Why didn't you answer any of the calls I made to you last night?" He paused, his tone cold and mocking as he questioned, "Did you go to bed with him? How dare you cheat on me when we haven't broken up yet?" Loving such a man was the most shameful thing in my life. I closed my eyes and sneered. "First, I'm in the dormitory. Second, we've already broken up. Third, what right do you have to question me?" Henry on the other end of the phone softened his tone and became flattering. "I was wrong. Can you come down? I want to talk to you face to face, Daphne. Don't make me sad. Maybe we really needed a formal occasion to talk about the break-up. I was silent for a long time, my voice tight. Okay. I thought the conversation would end soon, but unexpectedly, Henry further suggested going to the restaurant downstairs. The restaurant was small but lively. People were crowded together, having a special meal. As soon as Henry sat down, he ordered a table of seafood and smiled, "You're allergic to mangoes, so I won't order them." I took a deep breath and pushed the odds and ends I had just sorted out towards him. "These are the gifts you gave me over the years. I've transferred the money for the rest to your card. Henry, we're really broken up." He was still the same as before, not listening to what I said. He picked up a chopstick of fish and put it in my bowl. He tilted his head and looked at me with a smile. "I know you don't like spicy food. I especially." But as he was speaking, he suddenly stopped and looked coldly at the person who pushed the door open behind me. "Daphne, I said I'd come to pick you up yesterday. How about it? I'm on time, right?" Henry's face fell instantly. "Daphne, you're not allowed to go with him." Lucas pointed at the fish in my bowl and asked in surprise, "If she doesn't go with me, she'll be killed by you. Daphne is allergic to seafood. Don't you know that, her ex-boyfriend? It seems you don't know that she likes spicy food either." Before he finished speaking, Henry suddenly flipped the table and punched Lucas in the face. "What my girlfriend and I eat is none of your business." The hot dishes on the table suddenly smashed towards me. In the next second, I was tightly hugged into Lucas's arms. While protecting me, Lucas didn't forget to punch Henry a few times. Looking at Henry, who was beaten black and blue, I suddenly felt a bit sad and wanted to laugh. Yes, I had been with Henry for 4 years, but he didn't even know that I was allergic to seafood or that I liked spicy food. I shouted, "Stop! Don't fight anymore." Hearing my voice, Henry suddenly broke free from the hands of the people holding him and stared at me with bright eyes. I threw all the odds and ends I had been carrying for a long time at Henry and said with relief, "He's absolutely right. And you got one thing wrong. It's not me who's allergic to mangoes either. Henry, loving you was the most disgraceful thing in my life. Now I want you to disappear." After saying that, I pulled Lucas and left the messy restaurant, never looking back. This was the first time I had said such decisive words to Henry. But it wasn't even half as vicious as what he had said to me over the years. At this moment, the past events were like fleeting clouds, already dissipating in my heart. After that, I didn't see Henry for a long time. Thinking about it, a macho man like Henry couldn't bear the humiliation I gave him. But I couldn't go to the laboratory that day either. I tried to apologize to Lucas. He just touched my head and took out a cup of warm milk tea from his bosom, which he bought on his way here. He actually remembered that I casually said yesterday that I couldn't drink cold drinks. In the summer of Anqing, it was so hot that dragonflies only dared to fly close to the shade of trees. The air was hot and humid. I lowered my head and followed Lucas aimlessly. He suddenly stopped and said, "Senior Daphne, this Hunan cuisine restaurant is really delicious. I've tried it many times. Let's give it a try." But I clearly remember that you were so spiced by the boiled fish yesterday that you kept drinking water. How could you like Hunan cuisine? The man's eyes curved, and he opened the door for me. "It's a secret. I won't tell you." "Fine, if he doesn't want to tell, then don't." I forcefully held down my heart that was about to jump out of my chest, not knowing where to look. Over the next month, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to the experiment and actually found myself again. I wouldn't be distracted by a man anymore. Nor would I endure the bitterness of a secret relationship. But the forum started a discussion because of the fight in the restaurant that day. My supporters emerged overnight, posting one after another to accuse Mia of breaking up other people's relationships. For a while, Henry, Mia, and I were all caught up in this storm, and even Lucas wasn't spared. I didn't take it seriously. Sometimes, if you don't respond to online news, it will gradually be forgotten. But someone thought differently. I received a call from Henry again. On the other end of the phone, he was calm and composed, as if nothing had happened. "Daphne, post something to prove that we're boyfriend and girlfriend, and that we were just joking around before." Listening to the nonchalant voice on the phone, my eyes were focused on the newly published journal this year. When we first entered the research group, Henry actually didn't meet the professor's requirements. Neither the quality nor the quantity of his papers was up to standard, and at that time, there was only one last spot left in the research group. He was so desperate that he knelt on the ground with red eyes, begging me to give him 2 of my papers, saying that he would be good to me for a lifetime. I gave them to him, but what was the result? When I cried and asked Henry when he could make our relationship public, because I had been waiting for too long. After flirting with other women, he would also perfunctorily tell me to wait a little longer in such a calm and composed way. "Hello? Daphne, I know you. You've always been the most obedient to me. Be good." I was speechless. "Are you crazy? If you have nothing to do, go work in a factory and turn screws." Lucas only heard me say I was busy, and he quickly raised his hand enthusiastically. "Daphne, what is it? I can do it for you. All I need is a big thumbs up." Henry was stunned and shouted at me, "You're still with that guy. I'm asking you, who do you choose, him or me?" I couldn't help but laugh. Did this even need to be thought about? I choose him. Even if the sky collapses, I'll choose him over you. After hearing my words, there was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone, and faint sobs could be heard. "Daphne, I was wrong. I was terribly wrong. I don't want to lose you. You're the only one I've always wanted to marry." My eyes were calm. "No, you don't love me. You love the Daphne who has always been around you, the Daphne who always puts you first in everything. What you want to marry is just a tailor-made good wife and loving mother, not me as a person. You don't even know me at all. You're really wrong." I didn't want to talk to him anymore, so I hung up the phone and blocked him on all social media and my phone. "Daphne, was what you said just now true?" Lucas suddenly came close. "What?" "That sentence, that you would choose me even if the sky collapses." He was as red as a cooked shrimp from head to toe. I was speechless. When I explain problems to you usually, you always seem hard of hearing. But now your ears are working again? "Oh, okay, senior." Looking at his dejected back, of course I knew his feelings, but it seemed that it was hard for me to enter into a relationship again. The next time I heard news about Henry, it was that he was arguing with others on the forum to prove that Mia was not a mistress for Mia's sake. Evelyn looked disdainful. "He's protecting her now. But wasn't this situation caused by him?" I put down my computer helplessly, walked over, and hugged her. Okay. Let's not care about such small things." The other roommates nodded in agreement. "You don't need to pay attention to such a person. It's better to pay attention to little Lucas. I think he's heartbroken." "Exactly. Daphne's heart has become as tough as a fortress now. Poor Lucas." My ears turned red as I argued, "Didn't you oppose my dating before?" "Hey, don't change the subject. We didn't oppose it. We just thought Henry wasn't a good match, but Lucas is." "Stop talking. I'll focus on my studies first." In the next 6 months, Lucas and I maintained a plain partner relationship. When he took one step forward, I took one step back, until he stopped moving forward. But we got along very happily and were very tacit in doing experiments. Often, before I could say anything, Lucas knew what I was thinking. I had never experienced such a feeling with Henry. In a blink of an eye, it was time for the competition again. This time, I just wanted to get back the championship that belonged to me. Surprisingly, Henry and Mia had an argument before the competition started. "You didn't say that before. You used to always say that I was very smart and my problem-solving ideas were very fast. You also know it was before. Look at you now. You're like a pig-brained person." Mia looked at Henry in disbelief, as if she didn't expect him to speak so vulgarly. Actually, Henry had always been like this, but he just hid it well. I had experienced the same scenes countless times in those 2 years. The most vicious words were all used on me by him. "You can't even solve this kind of problem. I really don't know how you got into university, eh? Your head is full of water. You're really incredibly stupid." Because of his words, I couldn't do any experiments, and couldn't get any correct results for nearly a year. I was so broken that I stood on the rooftop in the middle of the night, feeling that I didn't deserve to live. When he heard that I was on the rooftop, Henry just came and sneered, "You want to jump off the building just because I said a few words? The most important thing for a person is to accept their own ordinariness. Jump then. I'll watch you jump." Mia's sudden, hysterical scream woke me up. Lucas somehow took out a cup of milk tea. "Here you are, Daphne. This is your favorite boba tea that's chewy and so delicious it makes you go meow pu. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha, where did you learn all this?" The man grinned wickedly. "Of course, I learned it in class on purpose to make our Daphne happy." Half of his face was hidden in the dim light, his black eyes slightly lowered, and the back of his cool hand gently rubbed against my face. I looked up and accidentally met his eyes. Startled, I quickly lowered my head and took big gulps of the milk tea. Over there, the farce between Henry and Mia hadn't ended yet when the competition started. The venue was filled with a tense atmosphere. Every team was anxiously trying to solve the problems. In the end, Lucas and I were the first to come up with the answers. Then the second group, the third group. But until the end of the competition, Henry and Mia's names never appeared on the big screen. We didn't see them again later. Only the professor came to look for me specially. He rubbed his hands and greeted me awkwardly. "Daphne, I know this request is rather abrupt, but I was wondering if you'd be willing to come back." I declined with a smile. "No, Professor. I'm doing quite well now." The professor let out a long sigh and looked at the podium. "Alas, I'm to blame for this situation. I should have stuck to my previous idea. Couples shouldn't be." I interrupted him. "Professor, actually, Henry and I were a couple before." After saying that, I walked towards Lucas, who was waiting for me in the distance, leaving the astonished professor behind. This championship, like many I've won before, was put away by me. Time passed slowly like this, and there was still no progress in my relationship with Lucas. People who have experienced pain are always hesitant to enter a new relationship. I was no exception. Until graduation was approaching, when Lucas was helping me pack things, his usual lively smile was gone. I couldn't quite describe the feeling in my heart. It was as if a stone was pressing on me, making my breathing rapid. I tried to ease the atmosphere with a joke. "What's wrong? Are you worried about choosing a new partner again?" "No." Lucas didn't look up. "Hey, be a real man. If you have any difficulties, say it out. Let me see if I can help you." "It's nothing. I just think the original partner is the best." Hearing this, I stiffened, put down the luggage in my hand, and stared at him. "Are you saying I'm not as good as Mia? What are you talking about?" "I mean, I just want you. After this sentence was spoken, both of us blushed and laughed, scaring the birds in the tree away. His face slowly approached mine, his eyes full of anticipation. Daphne, you have to give me a title when you graduate. Otherwise, if someone else tries to snatch you away, I won't even have a say. Subconsciously, I took a step back. But if I don't stay in this city after graduation, wouldn't that delay you? So what? No matter where you are or where you go, I'll follow you. What if it's through fire and water? His eyes were firm. I'll go. I quickly turned around, afraid that he would see my blushing face. My heart was pounding like crazy. My mouth was open, but I had already forgotten what I wanted to say. Lucas gently tugged at my wrist and pulled me into his arms. His warm and slightly hot breath fell gently on my forehead. He said, "Daphne, from now on, I'm yours." Suddenly, there was a new post on the long, silent forum. The poster wrote, "The fact that she's Henry's ex-girlfriend doesn't matter. What matters is that she's my queen now." A year later, on the day Lucas graduated, I returned to University A again. During the ceremony, my phone suddenly rang. It was an unfamiliar number. "Hello, who is this?" On the other end of the phone, there was the whistling sound of the wind. After a long silence, the person on the other side spoke. "Daphne, I saw you at school again. Are you here to find me?" It was Henry's voice. Last year, I heard from my roommate's gossip that he was held back a year by the school because of his poor performance in multiple subjects. Forget it. I don't deserve such good things. You can give it to someone else. Henry suddenly broke down and cried. "Why is this happening? Didn't you love me the most? Why did you leave me?" Then he started laughing maniacally. "Daphne, the rooftop is so cold. Come and accompany me, okay?" Hearing the man's words, I chuckled. "Henry, you're the one who caused this situation. What's there to ask? Of course I know the rooftop is cold. I've stood there countless times, because of you. I'll give you back your words. If you want to jump, go ahead. It has nothing to do with me." It had been 2 years since I was with Henry. Now I have a smooth sailing job, and my relationship with Lucas is also going well. I no longer wish to dwell on whether it was right or wrong. On the other end of the phone, he was still mumbling to himself. "Why is my life?" I didn't listen to the crazy voice on the phone anymore and hung up. Because Lucas, in his bachelor's gown, was waving at me. It was not until a class reunion later that I learned about the ending of Mia and Henry from an alumnus. Mia broke up with him after the competition that year and transferred to the United States to study psychology. As for Henry, he still couldn't graduate the second year. In his madness, he jumped off the rooftop of the library on the day of the graduation ceremony. Fortunately or unfortunately, he didn't die, but became a vegetative state who needed lifelong care. In the 3rd year of my relationship with Lucas, I received a letter from him. "Dear Ms. Daphne, perhaps you don't know that I knew you before you knew me, and I fell in love with you before you fell in love with me. I'm willing to eat very spicy Hunan cuisine with you, and I'm willing to learn the experiments I don't love for you. We still have many sunsets, many springs, summers, autumns, and winters to spend together. I wonder if you'd be willing to spend every morning and evening of the rest of your life with me." I read the letter word by word. The love between the lines flowed along with the ink. Suddenly, a diamond ring slipped out of the envelope. I bent down to pick it up. When I looked up again, Lucas was holding a bouquet of flowers and kneeling in front of me on one knee. "Daphne, I'm willing to love and protect you with my whole life. Will you marry me?" "I will."